Today, President Obama announced an agreement he says will keep an atomic bomb out of Iranian hands for more than a decade. Critics say it will do the opposite. The deal was done after 20 months of negotiations among Iran, the United States, and other world powers. After years of sanctions, secret cyber attacks on nuclear facilities, and even the assassination of Iranian experts, the president said today that diplomacy had triumphed.
Without a diplomatic resolution, either I or a future U.S. president would face a decision about whether or not to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon or whether to use our military to stop it. Put simply, no deal means a greater chance of more war in the Middle East.
After the agreement, the two men who made it happen, Secretary of State John Kerry and Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif, sat down with our Margaret Brennan. Margaret has the interviews and the details.
Diplomats from Iran, the U.S., and its negotiating partners this morning celebrated the deal. Under the agreement, Iran pledged not to pursue a nuclear weapon, agreed to freeze the bulk of its nuclear program for a decade, and cut the number of centrifuges used to enrich uranium by nearly 2/3. It will reduce its stockpile of uranium by 98% and disable its plutonium reactor, which is another path to a bomb. But the curbs last only 15 years. After that, Iran may be allowed to produce as much nuclear material as it wants. To verify compliance, United Nations inspectors will negotiate access to nuclear sites and military bases. If Iran complies, it will see the gradual lifting of crippling economic sanctions, including the unfreezing of $100 billion in assets. Iran will be allowed to sell oil and trade on the open markets, and an arms embargo will be lifted, allowing Iran to purchase and sell conventional weapons after 5 years and ballistic missiles after 8. Secretary of State John Kerry.
But now Iran can buy missiles and import and export them in 8 years.
Here's the bottom line, Margaret. Either you get Iran to come into an agreement where you limit their nuclear weapons, or they will go do everything they're going to do with missiles and have a nuclear weapon at the same time.
With more money and potentially more access to weapons in a short period of time, doesn't this empower Iran to destabilize the region rather than make it more secure?
Certainly, if they made that choice, it would be an enormous mistake. But the United States and our allies have made it clear that we will not stand by idly if Iran decides to be involved in destabilization.
Foreign Minister Javad Zarif says Iran wants more stability, not less, and this is a start.
John Kerry told me he can't predict how Iran's behavior will change. How do you think it will change?
Well, I cannot predict how U.S. behavior will change, and there is a huge deal of mutual mistrust that has been building up, and I hope that this agreement can start dent that mistrust.
The term snapback is one you're going to hear frequently in the coming weeks, and put simply, it means that the sanctions can be snapped back into place if Iran violates the agreement. And Scott, this is going to be one of the most contentious issues. How much power does Iran have to limit inspectors or even cheat?
Margaret Brennan in Vienna for us tonight. Margaret, thank you.